Hi, this is Greg with Best Choice Trailers. Today we'll take a walk around the Sure-Trac STWCH. That would be a Sure-Trac wedge nose car hauler. Shown here is an 8.5 by 20. It's in a 9,900 pound GVW. Shown with charcoal exterior. And of course it's got the V-nose or the wedge nose, ramp door, and a side door. So everything you see here is now standard equipment, new for 2019. Let's take a look at some of these features. So one of the new for 19 features is going to be up front. Now they do a 7,000 pound drop leg jack instead of the old school A-frame style jack that pretty much everybody in the industry is going to use. So this setback jack is nice for a few reasons. One, set back farther, so it keeps you generally from hitting a tailgate, where the A-frame jack sometimes can be in the way depending on the length of your ball mount. If you haven't had a drop leg jack, simply pull the pin, inner leg drops down to the ground, and then you would use the top line jack for your infinite adjustment. These jacks are bolt-on. It's also got a grease zert on it for serviceability. The whip on this is a traditional 7-pin blade. Of course, there is an integrated plug holder. 7-pin blades pretty much on all current pickup trucks post, give or take, late 90s, mid 90s. It's got a integrated wiring. It's all grommeted, ran in frame. You also notice the chains on these are going to be substantially heavier than most we see on a car hauler. That's an equipment style safety chain. It sounds like a little detail, but there's about 40 or more little details on this unit that make it, in our opinion, a superior product. And hopefully by the end of this you can see that as well. So another one of those little details would be they cap the end of the frame. So instead of that being open for salt and acid rain to lay and rust that from the inside out, this particular unit is capped. Tube is a superior frame to the junior I-beam. It's not going to twist and flex as much, but of course one of the downfalls would be if you leave that open, that could be problematic years down the road. So this also has a triple tube tongue, so in addition to the standard A-frame, it's got a triple cross member running back. Now on a Sure-Trac, they take that triple tube all the way back to the header. So a lot of manufacturers may not have a header, or they'll use a fabricated header right about in this vicinity. Sure-Trac actually takes that same 2x6 tube material and runs a header across the trailer. All three pieces, of course, run into that header, and then they gusset plate where each piece meets that tube header. So nice heavy duty frame design. A couple other of those little details that we see on their trailer. Up front, the trim on these is going to be 3-inch. Most in the industry are going to use a 1-inch bottom trim. Also, it's mitered out. It's not just a standard butt cut on these. It's all mitered, nice and clean. Also use lags into trim instead of trim screws. Lags certainly going to be heavier duty. You also notice they stack them too high on the front there instead of one. A lot more substantial, certainly closer centers. This also has a 2-foot front stone guard as opposed to the 12 or 16-inch you sometimes see. Now, in the past we've had the front anodized nose on these, but now they also have the finished corners on these as well. So on the old round top, they had the corners. Now the V-nose not only has the front done, but also the side corners on this. You also see the bullet LED lights give the trailer a nice clean look, give it a clean style. The industry's slowly moving over to these. You see more of the higher end or the first mover type trailer manufacturers. Larger manufacturers have all pretty well moved over. Now generally it would be a looks thing, but on these, those lights actually wire into your wire harness. They're actually not grounded to the frame as would the stud mount lights. Not only is there an aesthetic benefit, but we also tend to have less problems with those as they're wired in for the ground instead of grounded to painted aluminum, which doesn't act as a great ground source, especially not if it's painted like the aluminum on these is. Other little details on these: aluminum door holdbacks instead of plastic. Notice this has an oversized 48-inch door as opposed to the common 32 and 36-inch. The door handle on these is metal, not plastic, and it does not have the kind of unsightly strap hinge door that was commonplace for many years. This has the nicer style hinge. Notice that trim does wrap down the sides. It's a 3-inch top and bottom trim. Normally in the industry, you're going to get a 3-inch top and then they'll drop to a 1-inch bottom. The trim gives it a nice look, kind of picture frames the trailer. You also notice it looks a little cleaner going down the sides. This is a one-piece screwless exterior, so it doesn't have all those screws going down the side of the trailer. It's also got a thicker 030 aluminum as opposed to a common 024. It's going to give you less wrinkle type look going down the side. Aluminum wheels are standard equipment on all Sure-Trac enclosed cargos in the 8.5 wides. Now this is a 6-bolt wheel since it's got the 5,200 pound axle upgrade. It's going to be equipped with a 225/75 R15 load range D 8-ply radial tire. Scoop vents on these are standard or sidewall vents. They're designed for cross ventilation. You've got the bottom rear passenger side and the top front driver's side. So basically your air is going to all come through the trailer. Now I believe the thought process behind starting on that side is your truck exhaust comes out that side, so freshest air theoretically would be coming out and then exiting back on this side. Inside height on these are going to be 6'6". You're going to have about a 6-inch header at the back door. That's going to get you about 6 foot. I'll show you inside. There's a no-show beaver tail that's 4 foot. It's going to pick you up about 4 inches. Your through-the-door measurement height-wise on these is going to be about 6'3 3/4. And then your overall width, just so you know, on these car haulers, they measure the widest points. 8.5 foot is going to be to the outside of the fenderette. Box is going to be about 8'4". Inside wall-to-wall is going to be about 8 foot. Your through-the-door measurement is going to be a little less than that because, of course, you got your corner post and your spring assist cable. So net between your spring assist cables, you're going to get a little bit under a little bit under 7 feet. You're going to be about 8'4" outside box. It's going to put your cable, you're going to lose about 13 inches. So your cable to cable measurement is going to be about 7 foot, maybe just a touch over 7. On this Sure-Trac car hauler, they do a few extra hinges. Some do 2 or maybe 3. This one's got 4. These are what I refer to as the full width hinges as well. Some are mini hinges. They're only about yay wide. These are the full size, I believe, 10-inch hinge. They've got the grease zerd on them for serviceability. Now another little detail, if you put your hand back here on most cargo trailers, it's going to be a thin piece of fab steel. This is all boxed out back here, so this ramp's only as strong as what it's going to push off of. Okay, a couple other details. This unit's equipped with an aluminum bar lock as opposed to the standard steel bar lock. Gives it a nice look. You also notice this has 2 aluminum grab handles instead of 1, many times which is plastic. So they put an extra handle on. They also trim out the rear ramp door. Some will leave that exposed steel. In fact, quite a few do. This also has 5 bumpers at the rear. Take a look around. A lot of times you're going to find 2 or 3. And then a little pet peeve of mine is the door hardware. Generally, you take a door hardware, it ain't going to flip like that. This is Flexco made in the USA, Elkhart, Indiana, door hardware. If you look around, a lot of your door hardware is coming out of China. It just doesn't seem to fit quite as well. This also has your high output LED rear stop turn tail light. Also, if you take an average door bar lock and you swing it like that a couple times, you're going to get a lot of screeching. A lot of times they don't have bushings in them. And these, you didn't hear any screeches. Another nice little detail with Sure-Trac, generally we find this door just kind of glides down. They give it the right number of turns. You can't do that with every door in this industry, especially if it tends to come out of Georgia. We find that they're not wound properly and we end up rewinding them. Also notice across the back, this has screw centers on your ramp flap extension about every 3 inches on center. We find the industry average is more like 6, and if it comes from down south, it's normally 9 or 10-inch centers. So, little detail, if you're a commercial user, these flaps will come off if it's not well secured. If you're a homeowner, probably not as important. 16 on center floors, 16 on center walls in this particular unit. Wall material on these is a nicer style sanded, like a birch wall liner, not a BC plywood. Looks a lot different than the interiors of most. Most are going to run horizontal, and they're going to have Lawan strips. These actually have aluminum H mold that just give it a lot cleaner look. Also notice it's got an aluminum cove where most don't. So behind that, it's going to hide your wiring a little bit, give it a nice clean finished look. Ceiling on this has 2 LED dome lights above the tubular roof bows, which again, a lot in the industry are going to be hat post. Tube's going to be stronger, more structural. Above that is going to be a ceiling liner, gives it a very clean look. And above the ceiling liner is going to be a one-piece aluminum roof, not a galvalume roof. Now the benefit of aluminum, besides the fact that it's one piece, is aluminum is going to stay a lot cooler than a galvanized steel roof's going to. So this is going to stay a little cooler overall. Besides just the roof material, that ceiling liner, the white liner you see there, that's got a thin sheet of reflective insulation built into it. So that's also going to certainly help keep this trail a little cooler. Of course, the door is finished on the inside. Also gives you a side door step well inside the door. It's got 4 D-rings in standard placement for an average car hauler. Notice the fender boxes on these are a nice painted aluminum, or I'm sorry, nice painted steel fender with aluminum trim, as opposed to the unprepped steel fender that we sometimes see. So again, this height measurement's about 6'3" 3/4. Your width measurement between those cables gonna be right around 7 foot. Let me show you the underside of this trailer quick. We'll show you a few of the additional details and features. So one of the things I like is the wiring. So you can see where it goes in and out of frame. It's grommeted. And if I can find it here, there's a junction box underneath. A lot junction in the walls, not super handy. You also notice the tubular header, the triple tube tongue, the gusset plates. Those are all features you don't generally see in this industry on trailers, which is why I'm crawling underneath here to show you. That cross member to the right of center is generally what you're going to get for a header, and that is what Sure-Trac uses for a 2x6 tube header. There is a substantial difference between those. Sure-Trac also takes and uses tubular cross members for the outriggers. So you got your main frame and then your outriggers. Most in the industry use those lighter duty form cross members for the outriggers. Alright, a couple other details. Sure-Trac takes and puts a vapor barrier between the steel wall studs and the aluminum exterior. It's going to prevent what we call electrolysis, which is dissimilar metals. Eventually, over time, a trailer without a vapor barrier is going to put pinholes on that trailer. It's going to start at the bottom and work its way up. Most trailers out of Georgia, any trailer I've ever seen out of Georgia, does not generally have any sort of vapor barrier. Out of Indiana, it is more common. These units also, you may have seen undercoating underneath. They undercoat not only the base frame, but also the ceiling bows, the roof of this particular unit. Now, there's a few benefits to that, one of which would be your aluminum roof would not be touching the studs because it does have the undercoating on them. Secondly, you've also got the ceiling material between the two as well. That'll also keep down any vibration and whatnot, so there's a few benefits to having that sheet there. So again, it is 16 on center wall stud and floor stud. Walls and ceilings are both made out of tube steel. Here's a shot of the side door step well. Unit like this in a 20-footer is going to weigh in about 3,400 pounds. 24, you're going to be about 37, give or take. They give you a net legal payload in the mid 6,000 pound range. You're also going to pick up some tongue weight, somewhere around 10 to 15%. This unit is offered in different lengths. 20 and 24 would be the most common. It's available in a 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. You get a 24, 28, and occasionally even longer by order. This is also made in a round top called the STWCH, which we also stock generally in the 20 and 24. It is available in a 7,000 or a 14,000, 16,000 GVW. As shown here in a 10,000 pound is the most common. If you have any questions about this or any of your other trailers, feel free to give us a ring at 717-220-4220 or visit us on the web at bestchoicetrailers.com.